Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Real Housewives of the Bible experience. We are so glad to have you here with us today and are excited to have with us the great Dr. Michelle Lloyd Page. Woo! She
Hello.
is also the founder and creator of Sister. So we are so glad to have her here with us today. And then we also have with us none other than the queen herself. Let me tell you, this lady, this woman, our sister here is like the example of a rags to riches story. Let me tell you that the song goes, we started from the bottom, now we're here. So our sister that we have with us is none other than Queen Esther herself. She is in the place. Hey, hey, hey. And she is,
Hey, everybody. How are you? How are you?
oh, thank you, Esther. Oh, I'm sorry, Queen Esther. Now, let me tell
What's up?
you all, Queen Esther didn't, she may have ended the final chapter of her story as queen, but that is not how she started out. So, Queen Esther, tell us about how things were for you prior to you becoming a queen. We know that you didn't start in that place. So tell us how you got started and give us a little bit of your background.
Well, I just want to first thank you for allowing me to be here and being able to share my story. It's not often, everybody always wants to know about being queen, but they never really want to know about me. So I am no ordinary queen, that's for sure. I was actually an orphan. My parents, unfortunately, they died when I was very, 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 very young. And I was orphaned for a while. But I was blessed, very blessed, because my cousin Mordecai actually adopted me and raised me as his own. Um, he was a man. He didn't know too much on how to raise a female like me because I was very spunky. Always, running and defeating the odds. Where most little girls wanted to play dolls and play house. I was one of those kids who was very rambunctious to a degree, like to break all the rules to a degree. But so glad that I had Mordecai in my life. If he didn't teach me anything, I am very gracious that he taught me about God, and not to fear man, but fear God, but not to fear man. But just growing up, it was an experience. Not really, I saw the kids and saw the young ladies in the kingdom have their parents, especially their moms. And, it really kind of molded me, and I became a big sister to a lot of the young ladies as I was growing up. So, you know, a lot of people don't know that about me. I was a very proud Jew, loved being Jewish and my heritage, loved it so much. Um, but yeah, a lot of people, they don't know that I was an orphan, and because a lot of people are just like, when they hear that, there's like, how did you become queen? But there's madness to my story, a lot of madness.
All righty, Esther. Thank you so much for just being honest because a lot of times people, they see people and they think that they always had it the way that they see them now. They think that maybe they started off with a silver spoon in their mouth. And we know from
Spoon
you, so there wasn't a silver spoon, right?
definitely had a silver spoon situation. We stood in lines, bread lines and those produce lines. So there definitely wasn't a silver spoon anywhere. A wooden spoon maybe, but definitely not a silver spoon. I can tell you that much. Silver spoon
Well,
now, not back then.
So tell me, Esther. So with you going from that, from going from having growing up as an orphan, going through things like that, how did you then become queen? How did things shift for you?
Oh, honey, let me tell you. Well, that is a story and a half. Okay, so in our kingdom, there was a king, the king, which is now my husband, my hubby. Well, his previous wife, we just gonna say there was some issues in their marriage, and well, there's a story behind that, but I don't like telling people's business. That's not my place. Um, excuse me. Just needless to say, he got rid of her, and he had called for some young ladies to, I call it an audition for queen. Uh, we, we had to go audition for him, so like we some backup dancers or something, but it worked out. It worked out. I was we had to go through a year's worth of preparation, a lot of beauty and spices and perfumes. We definitely had to get to know more of the culture because one, I'm Jewish and he's not. Um, so we had to go through very vigorous preparation, which I believe it really helped me to understand not only my husband's culture, but it helped me to understand myself, a lot of what I was going through, because even though, a lot of people think, oh, preparing for queen, it is like, it's just the outside. But to be queen, it takes a lot of mental. It takes a lot of mental preparation because you don't know what you're going to deal with on a daily basis. And just be, you have a lot of people who come to you. And I was very fortunate to have Hey Guy, which I definitely love, show me favor. So I was actually allowed a lot of extra time to when it was like they would come and pick up the ladies, I was able to spend like another extra hour preparing. Um, he would have it to where I would sleep in the best quarters. So I was able to relax, and it really prepared me to stay in the kingdom. It helped me to prepare to deal with the people that were on the grounds, because you got to think, once again, I'm an orphan going from orphanism, where all I know is daily housework, the things that Mordecai had me do, the little kids in the town, and now I'm in this big kingdom, in this castle, living a life that I was not used to. And
Mm-hmm.
so that definitely changed my outlook on things. But if anything, it humbled me. And so I was able to really look at the people and then take a look at myself. And because of my humble beginnings, I didn't take it to where I was haughty. And I saw a lot of the young ladies who I was going up against, their attitudes changed. They, because of where they came from, um, they would treat the servants as servants, where I treated them as people. So, preparation and going through that year really helped me to balance my life, as well as really get to know the people per se. So yeah, it really helped me. And then we had our one night with the king, um, and so when I went in, it was like, I didn't really believe in love at first sight, but obviously my husband did. And after a while, he chose me. And I know that that was the favor of God, because most of the women, they were all adorned in their beautiful jewels. And I went in just being my natural, normal self with actually this necklace that I have on today. And that's it. And being me, the woman that God created me to be. So I went in being me with my humble beginnings, um, and now he put a ring on it.
I love that, Esther. That is amazing. Like literally, and so encouraging to just know that God can open up a door for you and make a way for you that you could not even have imagine coming your way. So now you get there and you are queen. And how did your life change after that? Like, did you see things shifting in your purpose? Did you feel like that as God moved you into a different place, that there were that God was expanding what He wanted to do in your life? How did things change for you after you became queen?
It definitely changed. Um, During my time of preparation, I would always ask God, why am I here? What is it that I'm supposed to learn? What is it that I am supposed to do? I thought purposely that I was there for, maybe the people that were not so much as in the kingdom, but like the people that was around me. Maybe I was supposed to soften my husband's heart so that he could follow the God that I was following. Because up until this point, um, Martina, my husband did not know that I was Jewish. Yeah, it was kind of the best kept secret. All us girls kind of have secrets, and that was mine because, whoo, if he knew, oh, it would have been some stuff, honey. Let me tell you, Queen, the other queen wouldn't have been the only one on the chopping block. Let me tell you that much. But so, I thought, I thought that I was sent. I thought I was sent, for the people in the kingdom. I was doing my queenly duties, and my cousin Mordecai, he was actually out in the kingdom, and because he was a scribe, and I had things that kept getting back to me that certain things were being done to the Jewish people, and actually I had heard at one point that my cousin Mordecai had gotten like abused or beat up, and I was like, what is going on? Well, I don't know if you all had ever heard about Haman, but Haman was one of the guard. He was big time. Well, he thought he was big time until he came up against me. But I'll get to that part of the story. Um, but he was um, he had a vendetta against the Jewish people, my people,
Mm.
and so with him, he had put out a decree that my husband didn't really know about. He was just going around. He gets busy. He don't really be thinking. He just going around stamping stuff. And he let the decree go through for all of my people to not just be destroyed, but to be killed.
Oh my God.
And I'm trying not to, cry. Um, but I know I started thinking about the people, but I mainly started thinking about the kids because I knew what it was like to be an orphan. And I knew what it was like as as a child to grow up without parents. And I'm very grateful for my cousin Mordecai. Um, but there is nothing like the touch of a mother or the love of a father that you truly miss. And if if you're not, and so I thought about that. And you know The word had got back to me, and Mordecai was like, and basically, he had sent message through my people, hey, Esther, you really got to do something. You really got to do something. He was like, if you don't do anything, know that God will raise up somebody to do what you may have been sent for a time such as this to do. And so I took that, and I took the pictures and faces of the children. And so I fasted and prayed about it. And I was just like, God, I know I have to go before my husband. Now, at this time, I hadn't spoke to him in probably over a month. We hadn't been together in probably over a month. So I had to go before him. And here, if you go before the king without any notice, especially being a woman, you have a great possibility, almost like 100% possibility, to actually die if he doesn't pull out his scepter. But the lost feeling inside, because that was a feeling that no matter what, no matter how many jewels I had, or how many royal robes I had in my closet, that emptiness of not having my parents, and to know that children could possibly be in that position, but I could stop it. I took the chance, and I went before my husband, and my whole outlook was, if I perish, I'll perish. So what I did was, after the fast, he was in the courts. They were having their meeting, and I went in, and everybody was up in uproar. They couldn't believe it. They couldn't believe what I did or what I was doing. But I went before him, and once again, it was nothing. I know it was nothing but the favor of God. He pulled out his scepter. And everybody's like, oh my gosh, when the story got out, I can't believe it. Like, you would die. Like, your life was literally on the line. My life was literally on the line. But I knew that it was my responsibility. It was my mandate to save my people. And so, long story short, we had a meeting. I told him about Haman's plan and what was going on, and I was able to freely expose myself. And he found out that I was Jewish. I thought that was going to be a thing, but if anything, he learned to love me more, appreciate me more, appreciate why I put my life on the line to come to him. And I no longer had to live with a lie. And it was very invigorating. It was very life-changing. But at the end of the day, I knew without a shadow of a doubt that that's what I had to do. And Haman got taken care of. There is no Haman. There is no more decree. My people, they are out living the life. We had a party after it was all said and done. We still have a good old party after it's all said and done. We have a yearly party. And yeah, so that was, if anything, that's like the highlight of my queendom. That's what I'm most known for. And, a lot of people, when they find that part out, they ask, they always ask me, and they always ask me, would I do it again? And I most definitely would do it again without a shadow of a doubt, no matter what the outcome may be. Even if the outcome was, he didn't, and, I died. At least I knew that I was dying with a purpose.
Girl, oh my gosh, that is amazing. Like literally, you are such not only just a queen, it's beautiful that you did not just use your position just to, feel fantastic and fabulous about being a queen, but literally you knew that time was ticking, you knew that you needed to do something to make a difference in the lives of people. That's just beautiful. Thank you for sharing that testimony with us. There's so much, I mean, literally, that we can pick up and learn from you. And so, oh my God, thank you. Thank you so much for just your
You.
transparency and for sharing. Now, I mean, Michelle, what can we learn from our sister Esther? What can we take away from her?
First of all, I just want to say thank you, Queen Esther, for sharing your story with us. As one of the few named women in the Bible, your your speaking is so encouraging. And when I note that you're one of the few named women and you're royalty, it means that we need to be paying attention to what you have to say. And there is just so much in there. But I'm just going to keep it to I think just 3 points. I think just 3 points, but we will see how it goes. The first thing that, getting out of your story is just understanding that favor changes everything. Favor changes everything. And as somebody once said, favor ain't fair. So it's not about, you are somebody special and you got this going on or that going on. When the favor of God is on your life, favor ain't fair. And sometimes the favor of God shows up in a relative taking you in. So as you said in your story that, you're an orphan and you were doing all this, but, you were taken in by your uncle. That was favor, because you could have ended up like so many of the other young girls just on the street or in prostitution or something else. But look how God intervened and favor was on your life. So favor changes everything. And then when you were in the king's palace and you were part of that collection of women that were, going through those beauty treatments, the favor of the head custodian over the women, just, to try to figure out why God said, because I want her. I want her. So favor. So how God works through people for favor. So favor changes everything. When we look over the course of your life, how favor just changed everything. The other thing that, is really significant in your story is that we can see that God is at work strategically in the background, knitting everything together. I mean, just think about your life. You were an orphan, you were raised by an uncle who didn't abuse you, who cared for you, who loved you, who treated you like a daughter. You were able to have influence in your circle that was around you. You were entered into a beauty contest. You won the beauty contest. I mean, they went out to the whole country looking for all kinds of young virgin women, and you were selected. Mordecai let you go, and Mordecai gave you some information. Don't tell them who you really are. And I'm sure you didn't, understand fully why not to say who you are, but you did it. That's another lesson: obedience. Do what people tell you to do when people can speak into your life. Okay, coming back in. But you won the beauty contest, right? Which meant that you were going to be married to the king. And I am sure, for as young and fabulous and as fly as you were not thinking about marrying some old Gentile man, because you were a proud Jewish woman. You were a proud Jewish woman, right? You enjoyed your heritage. And I'm sure there were probably, as growing up as a child, you were thinking, oh, it would be nice to be this. And maybe you had your eye on this other, young guy or something like that. But here was opportunity. God was strategically working everything out. And then all of that gets you to the place where you're entering into the throne room. And as you said, you hadn't seen your husband for a month and you could have died, but God worked it out. I believe that when your husband, the king, saw you standing in the doorway with your crown, with your necklace, looking as beautiful as you were. And he was brought back to the reason why he chose you, that he didn't have the heart. He didn't have the heart to say, kill her. He said, no, come on in. And he was probably thinking, I ain't seen you in 30 days. And it's probably about time that we got hooked up again or something like that. So when we just think that God was in the background, it wasn't by your efforts, because you weren't trying to do anything sneaky. You weren't trying to position yourself higher. You were just trying to be obedient to God. And so when we are obedient to God, if we trust God, God will work things out in the background. And sometimes the way that God works in the background is by working through people. It is clear that God worked through your husband. It is clear that God worked through your uncle. And it's even clear that God worked through Queen Vashti, the queen before you, because if she hadn't gotten off the throne, you wouldn't have been on the throne to be able to save your people, because you were the Jew, not her. And so we just praise God for how sometimes things can look disconnected, but when we stand on the other side of a crisis, when we stand on the other side of a situation, we can look back and our soul wonders how we got over, but we know how God got over because God was in the background, knit it all together. And all the time, God is just saying, just trust me. Just trust me. I'm working it out. But the biggest thing that I take away from your story is that of preparation, right? It was just so clear when you think about the years worth of preparation, but for the beauty treatments and the grooming and learning about another culture, there was more preparation than that going in your story. It started from the very moment that you entered into Mordecai's house. Preparation never changes. Preparation is always ongoing. We are always in a season of preparation for the next thing. And sometimes the things that we think we're being prepared for are not the ultimate thing that God has for us. When you were in preparation for the beauty treatments, preparation to go for your one night with the king, preparation to be queen, when you were in preparation, you had thought that what you were being prepared for was to lead your people, maybe to influence the king just a little bit, so that perhaps he would join in your faith and he would share the same love of God that you did. But what you found out in the end, that the real preparation was for saving your people. Can you imagine if God would have told you at the beginning, when you were just a little girl, that, you know what, you're going to save all the Jewish people? You would have said, who, me? I can't do that. But God allowed the circumstances to come up, all the different preparation, the preparation that came at time A, time B, time C, all led up to the moment when you would enter into the throne room and say, look, I'm Jewish. And this guy over here, he has made a decree to kill all the Jews. And you had such favor with the king, that the king sought to not only spare your life, because he could have just spared your life, but he said, because it's so dear to you, I'm going to spare your life, everybody else's life. I'm going to kill that guy. The gallows that we made for your uncle, we're going to put him on it. And all the people out there take up arms to fight when they come out there. So we just think about purpose. And then about purpose is that, we don't always know what we're being prepared for until it's there, until God reveals it to us. But also, we are often being prepared for something that is much bigger than ourselves and much bigger than we can imagine. So you were thinking you were being prepared to wear that crown gloriously, but God knew all the time he was preparing you to save your nation, to save your people. Purpose also sometimes come out of the things that we have gone through. So you talk so much about what it felt like to be an orphan. And here, when you were in this position, when you heard what Haman was plotting, you immediately thought about the children and thought about what it was going to be like for them to be orphans. And it broke your heart, and it gave you strength to go into the king's throne room. But the things that we go through are often the things that God will use, and will often be the foundation of the purpose that God ultimately has for us. So when we go through different things, sometimes it's to strengthen our character. When we go through things, sometimes we'll use what we have been gifted with and what we and how we are positioned to influence other things. So your emptiness sometimes is what's needed so that somebody else can enter into their fullness. Your favor in life is often helpful to save somebody else's life. Our purpose can and does often change over the course of our lives. And the reason our purpose changes is because our situation changes, our context changes, but our situation and context changes because God is in the background bringing it all together. So, how we start out in life isn't necessarily our destiny because you started out with nothing. You started out with a wooden spoon, girl, and you got the whole silver flatware set. So God is at work in our lives. So what did I get from your story? It's a beautiful story for us to remember is that favor ain't fair, but God is the ultimate dispenser of favor. We have purpose in our life, and that purpose sometimes comes out of the things that we have gone through. It doesn't feel good in the moment, but if we will trust God to see how God is knitting everything together, we will see that it was well worth what we had gone through. And so, my sister, my queen, I am so grateful that you shared your story. I'm so grateful that your story is recorded in the Bible for us all to see. And one of my favorite verses that comes out of your story is one that you had talked about. And that's from the book of the Bible that's named after you, out of Esther, chapter 4, verse 14. And it reads as such: For if you remain silent at this time, relief and deliverance for the Jews will arise from another place, but you and your father's family will perish. And who knows that you have come to your royal position for such a time as this? And I think that's the whole story of preparation in our lives. The position and the places that we are in could very well be for reasons that are beyond our understanding in the moment, but it's a reason that God has so that we can be used as an instrument of his love, an instrument of his peace, an instrument of his justice to bring about his perfect will. So, my queen, thank you so very much. And Martina, thank you so much for having me on the show. This has been a treat.
Thank you so much for being willing to join us today. Those words were so powerful and definitely something that we can take in and be enlightened and empowered by. And so we thank both you, Dr. Michelle, a preach sister, rah rah rah. I have to give a shameless plug for you there.
Thank
And
you.
for you, Queen Esther, thank you. Thank you for taking the time to come and share with us. And for those of you that have even joined in for this Real Housewives of the Bible experience, we thank you and we pray that there was something that was said and shared that you would be able to take into your heart and take into your life and apply. We want you to be encouraged, empowered, and know that you have been embraced by the loving God. So we thank you. We love you. Ladies, let's send them off.
Bye.
Hey, bye. Until next time.
Bye, guys.